He is one of the most targeted leaders in the world today. President Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso has become a marked man, not because of tyranny, but because of conviction. From Washington to Paris, powerful nations are working to remove him. Inside his own country, political elites and hidden traitors plot against him. Even some African leaders view him as a threat to the old order, but Traoré's only crime is refusing to be controlled. He has challenged foreign influence, reclaimed national pride, and put Burkina Faso's destiny ahead of global interests, and for that they want him gone, by any means necessary. Yet Traoré is not standing still. In response to the growing threats, he is reinforcing his inner circle with a cutting-edge security network. What exactly is this system, and what does it reveal about the battles he is preparing for? It's no coincidence that powerful forces, local and global, want Captain Ibrahim Traoré out of the picture. Ask yourself, how many African leaders have survived more than 15 assassination attempts in just 2 years? Since the day he seized power, Traoré has lived under constant threat. No rest, no peace, just coup attempt after coup attempt. This isn't politics, this is war. A war against a man who represents something far greater than a government. A man who has become dangerous not because of oppression, but because of hope. Some say this is simply the fate of military rulers, but then why haven't other Sahel leaders faced the same relentless attacks? Gabon, Chad, Mali, Niger. None of their leaders have faced this level of internal betrayal or external pressure. What makes Traoré different? He is not just a soldier. He is not just a president. He has become the face of a revolution. Unofficially, he leads the AES alliance. Spiritually, he leads a movement. It was Traoré who declared the Sahel is not just shifting, it's rising. It was his electrifying speech at the Russia-Africa summit that captured the hearts of Pan-African thinkers worldwide. His fire, his vision, his unwavering defiance. That's what made others rally behind him, and that's why he is now Africa's most wanted man, dead or alive. April 16th, 2025. A date that could have changed everything. Another plot. Another attempt to eliminate Ibrahim Traoré. Though the coup was crushed, the threat didn't disappear. It evolved. The conspirators didn't hide in the shadows. They fled across the border to a willing accomplice, Ivory Coast. There, under the quiet protection of Ivorian authorities, accused by many of collaborating with France, the fugitives were not treated as criminals, but as allies. A new operations center was set up. Their mission, finish what they started. Now intelligence warns they are planning their next move before June 2025. But Traoré is not waiting for the storm to hit. Faced with the escalating threat, he has launched a bold new doctrine. Insiders call it the lockdown doctrine. It's not just heightened security, it's a fortress strategy, a new phase in the war for Burkina Faso's future. This is not just an upgrade, it's a full-scale reset of people, procedures, and priorities. Nothing is left to chance. Local reports describe it as a new doctrine where loyalty outweighs rank and surveillance replaces ceremony. The first major shift, a complete restructuring of the Presidential Guard, the elite force tasked with protecting Captain Ibrahim Traoré. In an era when betrayal can come from within, this move isn't just wise, it's survival. And as tension thickens over Ouagadougou, one thing is clear: Traoré is preparing for the next attack. Think about it. If high-ranking officers in the Burkinabe military were willing to betray their own president, who's to say that treachery hasn't already crept into his personal security? These traitors didn't just defect when they paid fellow soldiers to spread chaos inside the army. It's not hard to imagine that some of those soldiers once wore the very uniform of the Presidential Guard. That's a risk Traoré can no longer afford, so he acted decisively. The Presidential Guard was dismantled and rebuilt from the ground up. Teams were reshuffled, suspicious individuals were quietly removed, and in their place stood only those who had proven their loyalty. But even loyalty wasn't enough. Every new recruit underwent deep, invasive vetting, far beyond standard background checks, school records, family ties, political leanings, international contacts. Every thread was pulled, every connection scrutinized. Only those who passed every layer of investigation were allowed to stand by his side. Today, the Presidential Guard isn't just elite, it's trusted, hand-picked, and hardened. But Traoré didn't stop there. The betrayal of one man, Barry Abdraine, exposed another glaring weakness: Burkina Faso's outdated communication systems. It was this old infrastructure that allowed traitors to leak sensitive military intelligence to foreign forces, undetected. That loophole is now closed. Traoré has overhauled the national communications network, introducing encrypted systems capable of detecting and tracing suspicious transmissions in real time. Now anyone, soldier, officer, or civilian, who dares leak state secrets will be found, and this time they won't get a second chance. Still, Traoré went even further. Facing an invisible war, he reactivated a dormant weapon, the Office of Internal Counterintelligence. Once focused only on threats beyond Burkina Faso's borders, it now turns its gaze inward. Every cabinet minister, every provincial commander, even local police chiefs, no one is exempt. Their political loyalties are being examined, their allegiances questioned. If anyone is found out of step with Traoré's vision, they are quietly reassigned, far from the capital, far from power. To some, this may look extreme, to others, paranoid. But in a region where betrayal often wears a friendly face, paranoia is survival. History offers a brutal reminder. Thomas Sankara, revolutionary hero, betrayed and assassinated by his closest ally, Blaise Compaoré, a fellow soldier, and once a trusted friend. Captain Traoré has learned from that tragedy. He will not make the same mistake. This time, the revolution will defend itself. Traoré isn't just tightening control. He's deploying something far more unconventional. Something few outside Burkina Faso truly understand: his secret weapon. From the very beginning of his leadership, Captain Ibrahim Traoré built a force beyond the army, a civilian militia. A volunteer defense force made up of ordinary Burkinabe citizens ready to fight for their country's future. They are called the VDP, Volunteers for the Defense of the Homeland, trained, armed, fiercely loyal to Traoré. Originally created to protect rural villages from terrorist attacks, the VDP has now evolved into something much greater, a second layer of national defense, a human buffer between the people and chaos, a force untouched by the colonial loyalties still lingering in parts of the traditional army. In the aftermath of the latest coup attempt, Traoré is repositioning the VDP. No longer just defenders of villages, they are becoming the shield of the revolution itself, and perhaps the final line of defense for the man who now symbolizes it. Now, mobilized and restructured, VDP forces have been deployed across Burkina Faso, strategically positioned in key cities, military bases, and administrative centers. But they aren't just standing guard, they have a new mission: to act as watchdogs, spies, and early warning systems, reporting any suspicious activity or unusual movement directly to the presidency. These civilian defenders, bound not by paycheck but by loyalty to Traoré, have become his eyes and ears across the nation. Their presence means any plot, any betrayal, any conspiracy will be detected early and crushed. What was once a militia against terrorists is now an internal immune system designed to protect the revolution from threats within. But Traoré didn't stop there. Under his direct orders, the Ministry of the Interior quietly launched a new biometric tracking program. On the surface, it looks like a national registration drive, but beneath it, the real mission is clear: to track, monitor, and intercept anyone flagged as a threat, civilian or military. According to intelligence leaks inside Burkina Faso, individuals connected to the April 16th plot are now under constant surveillance. Every movement, every meeting, every phone call, tracked, monitored, recorded. It's a new era of surveillance, and not everyone is happy. Critics, especially from abroad, have flooded social media, accusing Traoré of becoming a dictator, of using fear and technology to consolidate power. But for Traoré's supporters, this is nothing new. They've seen the attacks, they've witnessed the betrayals, and as Traoré himself declared, Burkina Faso is not a democracy, it is a revolution, and revolutions, he says, are not built on comfort, they are built on vigilance, sacrifice, and survival. In Traoré's eyes, no great nation ever achieved true development through democracy alone. The powers dominating today's world, in industry, technology, and sovereignty, didn't rise through peaceful elections. They rose through revolutions, through bold leadership that shattered the old order. And for Burkina Faso, the path will be no different. This is not business as usual. This is not managed decline. This is a fight for rebirth, but not everyone welcomes that vision. Inside and outside Burkina Faso, powerful forces detest what Traoré stands for. They fear him because he represents change, and they depend on the status quo. These are the people who are content with Burkina Faso being ranked among the world's poorest nations. Content with the insecurity that tears the country apart. Content with the corruption that has rotted its institutions for decades. If they truly wanted change, they wouldn't be trying to eliminate the man fighting for it. For the elites inside Burkina Faso, chaos means access to power and profit. For foreign actors, it's even more sinister. A weak Burkina Faso means unfiltered access to its gold, cotton, and the Sahel's untapped natural wealth. Traoré's rise threatened all of that. His vision of a secure, sovereign, and industrialized Burkina Faso would close the gates they've kept open for decades. And that is why, from the moment he took power, they have tried to remove him, by any means necessary. Between September 2022 and September 2023, 4 coup attempts were launched against him. Each one failed, and in a move that stunned both his enemies and his allies, Traoré chose mercy over vengeance. There were no mass arrests, no show trials, no public executions. He spared them. But mercy does not mean naivety. Captain Ibrahim Traoré has seen history's lessons, and this time he is preparing to ensure the revolution survives, no matter the cost. Instead of ordering executions after the first coup attempt, Traoré gave a simple warning: distance yourselves or be consumed by what's coming. But that first coup was only the beginning. The second and third followed quickly, both erupting within the same month, October 2023. This time, Traoré took no chances, no warnings, no mercy. Arrests were made, investigations launched. From October 2023 to September 2024, Burkina Faso became a nation under siege, not only from enemies outside its borders, but from traitors within. Plot after plot, attempt after attempt, each one aimed at toppling Traoré. By the time the 10th coup attempt was uncovered, the situation had reached a dangerous new threshold. This one wasn't just political, it was terroristic. Intelligence reports traced the conspiracy back to Paul-Henri Damiba, the former junta leader, now hiding in exile in Togo. From afar, Damiba coordinated with known terrorist factions, received silent backing from authorities in Ivory Coast, and activated sleeper cells still embedded within the Burkinabe military. The result: a deadly assault. Soldiers and civilians alike were killed. A brutal reminder that the war against Traoré is not simply about power. It's about the very soul of Burkina Faso. Damiba's plot went deeper than anyone expected. Using insider knowledge, he recruited soldiers who had once sworn an oath to protect their nation. Now they conspired with terrorists. Armed with classified military intelligence, they orchestrated a full-scale attack on Barcelogo, a town dangerously close to Ouagadougou. The assault was vicious. Hundreds died. The town fell. But this was never just a military operation. It was a psychological strike to undermine Traoré's authority, to shake faith in his security reforms, to sow division within the armed forces. Their ultimate goal: mutiny, collapse, chaos. But the plan failed. Some conspirators were arrested. The rest scattered into the shadows. Since then, more attempts have followed, and every single one has failed. Yet a chilling pattern has emerged: foreign fingerprints. Again and again, external actors have been discovered pulling the strings, fueling instability, funding dissent, weaponizing betrayal. This is why Traoré's security overhaul isn't just precautionary, it's a strategic necessity, because this is no longer a political struggle. It's not personal, it's war, a war against hidden enemies, against traitors, against a system that has fed on Burkina Faso's suffering for decades. For Traoré, survival isn't just about protecting himself, it's about defending a vision, a future where Burkina Faso finally breaks free. And honestly, isn't it tragic? A leader trying to bring real change, forced to go to such extreme lengths just to stay alive? Why can't they just let him do what he set out to do? It's obvious Traoré's mission isn't easy. He's fighting terrorism, internal betrayal, foreign interference, and now a war of perception. With enemies everywhere, how can the fight against terror truly succeed? And what's even more frustrating, it's not just physical threats Traoré faces, it's the media. And in many ways, that's even more dangerous. The media shapes the mind of nations. A single headline can ignite fear, anger, even rebellion. And those who want Traoré gone know it, and they're weaponizing it ruthlessly. Lately, it feels like Traoré has become the most targeted leader in Africa, not just criticized, but systematically smeared with fake news. Every time he appears in Western media, it's negative. Every article, every broadcast, every analysis selectively edited to push a narrative. But should we really be surprised? At the end of the day, they're only protecting their interests. And Traoré threatens those interests by standing up. Just weeks ago, the US commander of AFRICOM accused Traoré of using Burkina Faso's gold to protect himself. Seriously? Everyone knows that accusation is absurd. Traoré has made it clear Burkina Faso's resources are for its people, not for his personal gain. And even if some gold was used for national security, so what? Wouldn't that be his right? Wouldn't that be responsible leadership? Protecting the revolution, protecting the dream, but the attacks keep coming. Another article claimed Traoré is enriching himself with national wealth. Laughable. We know what real corruption looks like in Africa. Presidents flying private jets, shopping in Paris, building palaces while their people starve. Traoré is the opposite. He dresses simply. He drives what he needs, not to show off, but to get the job done. He walks the streets among his people. He doesn't flee abroad. He stays, facing the threats, fighting the battles, doing the work. If Traoré were corrupt, we'd see the signs, the luxury, the excess, the distance, but we don't. And that's exactly why they're afraid of him. Because Traoré isn't just fighting for power, he's fighting for a future where Burkina Faso is free, sovereign, and strong, and that future terrifies those who profit from its weakness. Let's be honest, this is just another desperate attempt to turn people against President Traoré. At one point, headlines exploded across the world, accusing Traoré of targeting and killing a specific ethnic group in Burkina Faso, the Fulanis. They claimed he had grown so frustrated that he made the Fulanis the new focus of a military strategy. The outrage was immediate. Protests broke out, especially among Burkinabe citizens living in France. Some even went as far as demanding he step down. But just like the accusations about gold and corruption, it was all a lie. Traoré's government never targeted the Fulani people. If such a campaign had truly existed, the journalists inside Burkina Faso, those who live it, breathe it, and walk those streets every day, would have reported it. They didn't. Instead, the voices pushing this narrative are outsiders, commentators, media houses, and so-called analysts who have never even set foot in Burkina Faso. And yet they're the loudest ones screaming about what's happening. But here's the truth. We, as Africans, cannot sit back and let this kind of misinformation go unchallenged. It's our responsibility to make sure the truth is heard. We cannot allow our brothers and sisters in the diaspora, like the Burkinabe living in France, to be manipulated by lies written thousands of miles away. President Traoré may not be perfect. No leader is. But he is one of the few leaders fighting for real change, not just for Burkina Faso, but for Africa as a whole. And if Traoré is removed from power, or worse, assassinated, this revolution could end. And if that happens, let's be honest, it could take years, even decades, before Africa sees a leader like him again. Remember what happened after Thomas Sankara. He was killed. And for decades, Africa waited for someone bold enough, brave enough, patriotic enough to challenge the system. Traoré is that someone. He's not just a hope for Burkina Faso. He's a symbol of hope for the entire continent. He proves that Africa can still raise leaders who are patriotic, principled, and committed to real, uncompromising change. Yet instead of rallying around him, some have chosen to tear him down. They have sold their loyalty not to their people, not to their continent, but to foreign interests. They are working to destroy the very future they claim to care about. And maybe the most heartbreaking part of it all? It's that Ivory Coast, a fellow African nation, is allegedly helping to destabilize Burkina Faso. But now, with these new security measures in place, maybe, just maybe, it will be enough. Enough to protect Traoré. Enough to keep the revolution alive, because if we lose this moment, we may not get another one.